Hey guys, how are you? Say hi to me in the chat and introduce yourself, please. Okay. So tell me, like, where are you from? And can I do my webinar like this and just have my face chopped up? Okay. So tell me where you're from. Why, have you ever bought a storage facility before, or have you not? Are you like, I'm just a newbie, I have no idea? And tell me also, what type of facility? How many of you saw the webinar from last week? All right. And tell me, there's 5 different ways of investing in self-storage. Who can tell me what the 5 different ways are? If you watched the webinar last week, then you should know the 5 ways that you can invest in self-storage. Okay. And if you know, type it into the chat. I want to see if people were actually listening to me last week. All right, cool. Okay, so Lee's from Houston, Austin, awesome. Okay, Nora is from Bellevue, Ontario. Oh, we got some Canadians here. Awesome. I'm going global. I'm going global, y'all. Okay. Okay, who else? LaDonna, I missed last week. Harrisburg, Angela's in Atlanta. Awesome. Hey, Angela, how are you? Hope you're well. Lola's from Maryland. I'm Richard. I live in Albuquerque. I've never invested in storage sheds. Okay, so they're not called storage sheds. They're called storage facilities. All right. So if we want to start investing in storage facilities, we got to start learning the lingo, right? Because everybody says, oh, I want to buy a storage unit. If you want to buy a storage unit or a storage shed, that means that you're going there to auction and you're like, yeah, I'll pay $100. It's like Storage Wars. Okay. So, and by the way, Storage Wars is like not true at all. That show is completely just like BS. All right. So there's nobody coming to your facility and going, I'll pay 100, I'll pay 200, I'll pay 300. I wish that happened. But most of the time when you open the door to a storage facility, guess what happens? We open it up and then the people look in it and they go, no, I don't want any of it. Or they say, okay, I'll give you $25, right? So rarely, if ever, do you actually get anything of value in a storage facility or storage unit. Okay, so just so y'all know that you're not going to be making money on the contents of the units. You're going to be making money by running your business like an actual business, right? And by by actually using a P&L and a balance sheet and putting your numbers into QuickBooks and actually coming up with ways to decrease your expenses and increase your income, right? So that's how you run a business properly, right? Can I get an amen? All right, say amen. All right, guys? Okay. All right, cool. So obviously there's a lot of new people on here. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I've been teaching real estate, how to invest in real estate actually for about 7 years now. Okay. And I got into storage facilities almost 5 years. Okay. So I've been in it for a while. And I've done every type of real estate transaction in the world. Like you would imagine everything. All right. So if anybody's ever, is there any actually real estate investors here? If you say real estate investor, say yes, I'm a real estate investor as well. Okay. So, and I've done like wholesaling, rehabbing, all creative deal structuring, owner financing, all like any type of like creative deal structuring. I've done commercial deals. I've done storage facilities. Right. So Roger's an investor. Cool. Good. Okay. Awesome. So we do have some. So everybody that's hopping on, I still see people are coming on. Make sure you introduce yourself in the chat. Right. And, and if you want, you can always put your like email address and phone number if you want to exchange information and like get in on each other's, say, look, I'm looking for a storage facility in, whatever, Alaska, wherever you're at. Right. So then you can exchange information. You can get on each other's buyers list. Right. So because one of the ways that you can invest in self-storage is you can wholesale storage facilities. Right. You can wholesale storage facilities. So if I come across a storage facility that I don't want and the seller wants to sell, guess what? I can wholesale that. All right. So one of the ways that you can invest in self-storage is by wholesaling storage facilities. Has anybody ever wholesaled a storage facility before? I want to know in here, right? you can make a lot of money by wholesaling storage facilities. Okay, so it's not like wholesaling on the house side. All right, so house side, like, you're happy if you're making $5,000 or $10,000. And honestly, on commercial side, when you wholesale commercial, you're making like a lot more money, like $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. So highly recommend, if you're a wholesaler, look into wholesaling storage facilities. Okay. And the storage facility world is honestly so small. Okay. So number one, you don't want to give anybody any BS. All right. Because you will become the wholesaler that sucks in the storage investing world. Right. So be a good wholesaler. All right. But so one of the ways that you can invest in self-storage is wholesaling. All right. What are any of the other? Did anybody remember any of the other ones? If you watched the webinar, and if you did not watch the webinar last week, then highly recommend that you watch that one as well too. All I do is teach. Okay, guys. All right. So I'm not like here to sell you anything. I do want to show you guys a couple of things real fast before we get started. A lot of y'all are already jumping on, so that's good. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you guys just a couple of things. Okay, so here is my website. My website is stacyrossetti.com. Okay, and you can go on to the free trainings right here and sign up for free trainings. And I have like a lot of free trainings. Okay, so we have storage facilities, real estate investing, podcasts, everything that everything that I do for free. And I usually do probably a webinar a week, for free on all different types of real estate investing topics. Okay, so you can come in here to free trainings and sign up. Now you have to register, right? You have to register for this. Like, it's free, but you need to register. Okay. Another thing is, like, if you're interested in any of my online courses, all right, I just have two jumpstart courses. That's all I have. One of them is $28 and the other one is $39. Okay. So, like, it's not a lot of money to, get the jumpstart courses. So you can check that out. And then right here under Super Secret Investor Society, this is my my coaching program. So you guys can check those out. And if you're interested in the self-storage coaching program, you can click on that and, and see what's going on. I also have a beginner investor mastermind. Okay, so check those out. And so that's what I wanted to show everybody on the website. So make sure you come and play around with the website, check it out. And then also another thing is that I'm having a 5-day challenge on the last week of October. So everybody in this group should be signing up for that. It's completely free. I'm not charging anything. And essentially it's just me 5 days in a row getting up and just talking all about storage facilities, right? And just like helping everybody learn how to get started in investing, how to find them, how to fund them, how to run them. So today I'm going to do a quick webinar on finding, funding, and running storage facilities. But honestly, you can't really learn how to invest in self-storage in 30, 45 minutes. You just can't, right? So, I mean, this is like an ongoing process, but so I highly recommend sign up for the 5-day the 5-day challenge. And that way that'll give you 5 more hours of me teaching you how to get started and things like this. Okay. So that's that. All right. Oh yeah. Another thing I wanted to show y'all, did you guys see my, I'm so excited. Did you see me on Bigger Pockets? Did you guys see me? It just got released today. All right, so make sure you go watch my podcast. I want everybody to go watch it, right? So I can get lots of views. And you just have to come in and go to Stacy Rossetti, Bigger Pockets, okay? Does everybody know Bigger Pockets? If you don't know Bigger Pockets, just let me know, okay? But so it's here, and then this is it right here. Self-storage properties at pennies on the dollar, okay? It's only 20 minutes, all right? But it's here, you can come and check it. It just got released yesterday. See, 22 hours. All right, so so check that out as well too. So I want to make sure everybody sees that. I'm so excited. Okay. Yes, cool, awesome. So and then so those are the kind of 3 things that I wanted to go over first. Is like my admin. All right. Okay, let's get started. Let's talk about finding. We're going to talk now about storage facilities. Okay. And we're going to talk about finding storage facilities. First of all, why self-storage? Why self-storage? All right. So why do you guys want to invest in self-storage? What is the purpose of investing in self-storage? What do you guys think? All right. So yeah, what is everybody's why for self-storage? Okay, Roger says passive income. Okay, good. Dorothy says lots of people have stuff to store. Yes, we do not have enough storage facilities in the world. Okay, I'm telling you, we do not have enough storage facilities in the world. We just love to consume stuff. Actually, somebody answer me. How many storage facilities are there in the United States? I know there's people in Canada. I don't know the answer to Canada, but how many are in the United States? Put the number down if you can guess that as well too. So passive income, positive cash flow, diversity, no tenants, no toilets. Yes. Yeah. Well, you actually do have tenants. You just don't have toilets. So just keep that in mind. All right. Yeah. So guess how many storage facilities are there in the United States? What's the guess? All right. So I see 55,000, 10,000, 50,000, 1.2 million. There should be 1.2 million. That'd be a lot of storage facilities, 1.2 million storage facilities. My gosh. Let's see what else. 50,000. Who else has some guesses for how many storage facilities there are in the United States? 200,000. Roger says 200,000. Good. Anybody else? 80,000, 60,000. Okay, cool. Awesome. So good guesses, good guesses. Actually, there are about 50,000 storage facilities in the United States. Okay, 50,000. That's it for 480 million people. What's the population of the United States? I have no idea. Is it 480? Look, so we have only 50,000 storage facilities. All right, so that's it. That's it. There's not enough storage facilities in the world. Okay, so I already talked about wholesaling, right? We're going to go through and I'll remind everybody about the 5 different ways. Okay, the next 2 ways are. Well, as we're talking about it right now, new construction is one way, right? Another way. So like I said, there's only 50,000 storage facilities in the world. Now, there's definitely like way too many storage facilities in the cities. All right, there's enough storage facilities. And actually, you don't want to be focusing on this like cities like Orlando and like Nashville and Charlotte and you know all these cities, these huge big cities. You don't want to be like, because it's too expensive. Right? So you don't want to be focusing on these kinds of cities, all right, to build new construction, right? You want to be focusing on secondary and tertiary markets, all right? So I'm in Atlanta, all right? And then like, here's the perimeter of Atlanta, right? And then you have this is called the secondary market. This would be like, you know, Marietta and Woodstock and like all the way down, like I'm from Peachtree City, maybe all this. And then you have like what's called the tertiary market. How do you spell tertiary? Tertiary. I have no idea. That says tertiary right there. Okay, guys. So, so the tertiary market, right? Now, so you don't want to be focused. You don't want to be driving around Orlando trying to find a storage facility to buy. Okay, so this is not a good strategy, okay, to find them. All right, you want to be focusing on secondary if you have a lot of money, and tertiary if you don't have a lot of money. All right, let's just put it that way. That's easy, right? So and then you know you want to know and you want to truly understand, you know, cap rate. I mean, everything in the storage world, everything is all about cap rate and square footage. Remember that storage facilities are considered warehouses, okay? They're considered warehouses. And this is not multifamily, it's not doors, right? Like nobody nobody that knows what they're talking about talks about doors in self-storage. It's about units. What's your unit mix, right? But not doors, right? I got in and I was always like, yeah, I've got like, you know, 500 doors or whatever. You know, and so that's like in the multifamily world, that's what you say, but in the storage facility world, you talk about unit mix is what you talk about, okay? So y'all getting some lingo down now, right? So it's all about cap rate, square footage, unit mix, right? So when you're starting to look for storage facilities, this is my personal opinion, and actually how much, write into chat for me, how much money do you think you would be able to borrow to buy a storage facility? Now let's consider the 80-20 rule. And if you don't have any money, just buy. I have no money. because I own millions of dollars worth of storage facilities and I haven't put a dime of my own money in, right? But if you have money, it makes life, if you have money, it makes life easier, right? So let's consider the 80-20 rule. Okay, 20, you have to come up with 20%. So how much can you come up with 20%? You can afford X amount of dollars, right? Because 80% you can get funded. All right, you can easily, and honestly, you get the bet. If you have no money, you pay a higher interest rate for borrowing your money, versus if you have money, right, then you pay a lower interest rate because you can go to the bank, right, and you can borrow money. And like my students, they are, they're borrowing at like 4% interest rate. Like one of my students, he got like 3.75% interest rate on like a 25-year loan. Right. So, so basically what somebody's saying, Stacey, you have none of your own money, but you're sitting in and doing hard money loans. No. I use private money. Okay. So, so consider the 80-20 rule, right? 20% down, right? And you're going to borrow 80%. All right. And you're going to get badass interest rates for doing that. And that is what you do with a, that's what you do. Let's do 80-20. Okay. And that's what you do with a cash flowing property, right? Cash flowing, right? So if you can get a P&L and a balance sheet and tax returns from the owner, and they say, yes, I want to work with you to sell my property at top dollar, that's what happens. If you're buying a cash flowing property, I say most of the time it's top dollar. And if not top dollar, it's like middle range dollar, right? Okay. So my question to you is, do you have 20% to put down to buy a cash flowing property, right? And if so, if you know what that 20, if you know, like I saw somebody say 75,000, I have $75,000. So that means that he can borrow X amount of money. He could probably borrow like, let's say he could probably buy up, if you have $75,000, you can buy like a $500,000 facility. Right? Because remember, something like that is kind of how you know. So then you say, okay, like if I have 75 grand, I know I can go out, I can go and get this size of a facility. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? So that's why I'm asking. I'm not asking for your personal information. I'm asking, like, start thinking about how much money you have in order to invest. Okay. Now, and so cash flowing properties is what you're going to be doing. If you can come up with 20%, and the best thing about the 20% is that you can get like, you're going to get like a 4 to 5% interest rate. Okay. All right. So that's the best thing about the cash flowing properties. Okay. Or you can do what I do, right? Which is buy mismanaged properties. Number 3, actually we have 4 of the 5 now. We have wholesaling, mismanaged properties, cash flowing properties, new construction, and then we'll go over the 5th one a little bit later. But so you have 4 of the 5 ways to invest. Okay. So if you have like no money, or you do what I do, which is I buy mismanaged properties, and mismanaged property means that it's like 25 to 50% full. And like like I was buying a 100% full property, but the owner was like, no, I'm not giving you like the P&L and the balance sheet. I'm not giving you any numbers at all, because all of my stuff is under one name, his personal name, which means he has no idea what he's doing. All my stuff is under my name, and I'm not going to hand over all my tax returns from all my other businesses and everything that I do, so you can see all my stuff. He's like, no. So when a seller tells you that, essentially that's a mismanaged facility, because he didn't properly run his business. He should have had a separate LLC and been all income going into the LLC and creating a P&L and a balance sheet and tax returns, so that when he sold it, he could take that information, he could give that to the buyer, and the buyer could go to the bank and get a loan. Okay, so he didn't do that. And actually, most storage facility owners, at least the ones that are tertiary, especially tertiary markets, they just, they got land and stuff, and they're just like, I got some land, let me just throw a storage facility on there. And then all that stuff. And then what happens is they just pocket that money, right? Everybody knows they just pocket it. They're not, and that's why he didn't want to give tax returns either, because I mean, he was making like almost $100,000 a year, but he wasn't showing $100,000 a year. He was showing like $60,000 a year. All right. So that's mismanaged facilities, right? So let's just say like a lot of mismanaged facilities you'll find in the secondary and tertiary, a lot and more in the tertiary than the secondary, right? And this is where you have to borrow private money or hard money, a private money or a hard money lender. And there's plenty of hard money lenders out there, they love storage facilities, okay? And private lender is just like your friend and your neighbor or something like this. Now, the one thing with private money is that it kind of caps out. Like, you can't you can't buy $500,000 facilities, because most people, they don't have $500,000. They have like $100,000 or $200,000 or $300,000, right? So you kind of cap out, you can't buy the bigger facilities, right? So maybe start out with the low, like a smaller one, and then like you build up, you start building up, and then maybe you can buy a mismanaged facility and then sell it and take that money that you make. Let's say you make $50,000 after you sell it, or $100,000 after you sell it. Then you can take that $50,000 to $100,000 and you can go and buy a bigger facility, right? So a lot of people do that, and they kind of like start small and then they scale up. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So mismanaged facilities use private money and hard money. So like I said, I love mismanaged facilities. Why? Because I rehabbed homes for many, many years. I was one of those crazy people that did like 15 rehabs at a time. I don't know why I did, but I did. And like, I learned how to raise money. So I had all these like private lenders. And so once I decided to move over into storage, essentially I would just sell a house and then just move that money over into a storage facility. So for me, and then if you're gonna borrow money, at 9 or 10% interest rate, and that's the key too. Like, let's say 9, 10. I mean, it could be anywhere from like 8 to 12% or something like that, right? If you're going to borrow money at a high interest rate, essentially you need to be buying like mismanaged facilities. You don't want to buy a cash flowing facility at 10% interest rate, because essentially then your mortgage is going to be as much as what you're making, right? So you want to have that huge spread, and like that value add is what you want, okay? And the one thing with mismanaged facilities a lot of people don't understand is that you have to come out of pocket a lot of times for this, like on a monthly basis, because you're not making that money every single month, right? You're not making that money, right? So we had to come out of pocket, we have to come out of pocket in order to like, to increase the cash flow, right? So we're okay with that. So essentially we borrow money to purchase it, but on a monthly basis, we come out of pocket to run the facility, okay? Does that make sense to y'all? Is that good? Somebody says, use this as a starting point to calculate LOI. I have no idea what you're saying there. All right, okay, so mismanaged facilities and cash flow are kind of the two like most popular ways to get in. And then a lot of people wholesale, and then a lot of people do new construction, right? There's 50,000 storage facilities. Now with the new construction, right? Very, very reasonable to be going into like secondary or tertiary markets to do new construction as well too, right? And there's a lot of value add in new construction. A lot of value add, all right? So you're going to be like, but the thing with new construction is that there's a lot of upfront money, right? So you have to have a lot of upfront money. So you have to like buy the land, you have to get a feasibility study, you got to get environmental studies, you got to do zoning if it's not zoned as like a warehouse or industrial space, depending on what the county is. Like, so there's a lot of upfront work. And then on top of that, you got to maybe clear the land, make sure it's like level, put the foundation down, build the building. And so it's not for the faint of heart, honestly. It takes a long time, because then once you get that all done, which probably takes like a year to do that, then you start at ground zero, right? And then you're still, trying to get that all filled up, right? And those mortgage payments start as soon as you're done with your loans and stuff, okay? So it's not for the faint of heart, but it's a great opportunity. And like I said, there's not enough storage facilities in the world, and especially like tertiary, like, and you can get some really, you can do some really cheap storage facilities out like in these cities. Okay. All right. So, and then, so I wanted to just quickly go over the cap rate. So you want to be focusing on like a 5 to 7% cap rate inside the city. And then the further that you go out, the higher the cap rate is, right? So most of the time, when I'm running my numbers out in the, like a tertiary market, I'm running it at double-digit cap rates. It is actually every facility that I've ever bought is always like at least 13 to 16% cap rate. And you get those out here, right? So cap rate, like essentially the way that the cap rate works is like the higher the cap rate, the riskier the property, and the lower the cap rate, the less riskier the property is. So you know, hedge funds are thinking like, oh, we need to be in the cities because like this is less riskier, right? But like for me personally, like, you know, most of these storage facilities in this area, they're running their numbers like 75 to 85% full. Like they are never 100% full. Whereas when you get out into the market here, it's not, and you learn how to run your business like a business and actually market and stuff, it is not difficult to get your facilities, you know, rented up to 100%. So you can run your numbers based on that. Okay. So you want to be like essentially, and you know, so this would be like an 8 to 9% cap rate. And I'll kind of go over this. Don't worry, y'all good. Don't worry if you're lost already. You'll get it. You guys just keep hanging out with me. Okay, so 5 to 7%, 8 to 9, and then like 10 and above, right? Does that make sense to y'all? Y'all are getting this a little bit? Okay. All right, we're going to go on to the next page. Everybody got this? We're good? Okay. All right. And yes, I had horrible handwriting. Okay, sorry. I had like doctor's chicken scratch handwriting. Okay, what was I gonna say? Okay, so now we're finding, we're finding storage facilities, right? So now you're gonna be going to the secondary and tertiary markets. This is something that I have not taught to anybody. So there's only 69 people in the entire world that are gonna learn this concept. All right. So do y'all feel special for that? Because I hired a land and storage acquisitions person because we focus on land and storage, and like land and storage go kind of hand in hand. Honestly, it's two different ways of doing real estate investing, but they kind of go together, right? So anyways, I hired a land and storage acquisitions person because I just have no time to go out and look for storage facilities anymore. And like I'm teaching him how to get out there and really look for some good storage facilities. And we came up with this concept over the past week. So y'all, I haven't even taught this to my mastermind students, to my coaching students yet. I'm going to do that next Tuesday. So you guys are ahead of the game right now. Yes. All right. Ahead of the game. You got to take this tip and go find y'all some good storage facilities. Okay. All right. So what we're going to do, all right, this is what you're going to do. And everybody remind me, where are y'all all from? Let's just say you're from like Utah. All right. Is there anybody here from Utah? All right. And so what you're going to do is you're going to go online and you're going to Google, right, Utah cities by population. Okay. And so now you're going to Google it and you're going to get like this, you know, get a whole bunch of links or whatever. You click on the link and then you're going to see like this like long list of all your cities, a couple hundred cities within your state, right? Starting out with the biggest states and going all the way down to where that has like we have one town that has like 17 people in Georgia. Okay. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take that list. All right. How many people here use Google Drive? Or what do y'all use for your cloud? Google Drive or whatever they're called. I only use Google Drive. So what are the other ones called? All right, Dropbox. Yeah, okay. So you're going to take this list, all right, because you need to be working in the cloud, right? So that you can be working anywhere in the world. This is the first step for you to get your storage facilities completely in the cloud, right? Because what I teach is that you need to set your business up so that you can be anywhere in the world. All right, got that? So I travel 6 to 8 months out of the year. All right, and the only way I can do that is by having everything in the drive. How many people are like, I use the Google Drive, or I'm in the cloud all the time, I'm completely virtual? And some people are like, I'm not virtual at all. Like, I just, like, this is just not me at all. Right? Who's like completely virtual here? LaDonna's like, no, not me. All right. So y'all need to be virtual. This is a 21st century. Everybody should be virtual. Okay. All right. So now you're going to go into the drive or whatever, and you're going to open up a spreadsheet. So you start the Google Sheets. Right. So this is number 1. This is number 2. So you're going to take your Google Sheet. Right. And you're going to take this list and you're going to make a spreadsheet. Right. So make a spreadsheet. Okay. And then, okay, you're going to number 3. I'm so excited about this. This is awesome. I am so excited about this. I really feel like we're gonna do some stuff here. Okay, so Google Sheet, put it in a spreadsheet right now. So now you have all your cities in the spreadsheet. Now what you're gonna do is you're gonna look for towns, for cities, all right, that are 5,000 to 20,000. Okay, not 50, 5,000 to 20,000 cities. Population, okay? Okay, and then highlight those in like a yellow or something like this. Like those are the cities, okay? Now, you know, when you look through those cities, like what's gonna happen is like some of those cities are gonna be like suburbs of like your bigger cities, right? So if you have like, what's a city in Utah? Like Salt Lake. I should know. I just literally spent like a month there. So Salt Lake, and then you have like Park Cities and like all the all these kind of, as you get farther out, the burbs get smaller and smaller, right? So you don't want to be in any of those, right? You don't want to be anywhere where it's like the 5 to 7% cap rate, possibly the 8 to 9% cap rate, but it all depends on like which city. So for instance, like Birmingham, like downtown Birmingham, obviously you don't want to be in downtown Birmingham, but like when you get kind of farther out, like like Birmingham's not a big city, you know what I'm saying? So you could be in the secondary markets. Now, and then in some cities you have to be in the tertiary markets. Okay. Okay, so now you're gonna highlight all these 5,000 to 20,000 population cities, okay? And you're gonna go through each of those cities and try to figure out where they're located, okay? And like you're gonna be like, okay, and I'm sorry, most of them you're like, I don't even know about this city, right? Okay, so, and then what you're gonna do, all right? Okay, so now you're gonna find these cities and you're gonna highlight them, and you're gonna what's it called? Scrub the list, like scrub it, right? So scrub it. So it's actual cities that are not attached to the metro city. Scrub, no burbs. Okay, something like this. Does that make sense to y'all? Nobody's lost here, right? And then after that, what you're going to do is you're going to start looking on Google Maps for storage facilities. Okay, Google Maps. Y'all can still see this good. Okay, Google Maps. So go to Google Maps, and then you search that city. Right, so let's say you find a city that's like 7,934. So you go on Google Maps and you search that city, right, and it comes up. All right, you want to go to satellite view. And then you're going to search storage and see what comes up. How many storage facilities come up in that area? Okay, and then you're going to take those, and you're going to create a new tab in your spreadsheet. And you're going to label it like whatever the name of the town was. Like, I don't know, whatever it's like, I don't know. What's the name of a town? Jonesville, and you're going to put the population, right? So let's say you name it like, you name this tab, right? So let's do 6 is new tab in your sheet with population and city name. City and population, okay? And so you're going to name that. And so you're going to start, literally what you're going to start doing is like looking at those 5 to 20,000 and start listing out all the storage facilities that you find and put them like in this kind of master sheet. All right. And then what you're going to do, and then you're going to look up storage. You're going to look up self-storage, mini warehouse, like all these different types of names, because you'll look up storage and then you'll look up self-storage and like another thing will pop up. You'll look up warehouses, because like I don't know why they call them mini warehouses, you know, or something like this. So you have to look up all of the different like ways that people name their storage facilities, essentially, right? There's like, it's not just like storage facility. It's like many warehouses and all this kind of stuff, okay? So then this is here, okay? So what else? So then after that, now you're going to start like, you're going to start kind of getting an idea of like the storage facilities and how many there are in that town, in that size population. I'm going to tell you, there's a correlation between population and self-storage. All right. There's a correlation. And so that's what you're trying to figure out is what is that correlation for your area? All right. How many, if there's an 8,000 population, like of 8,000 people town, how many storage facilities should be in that area for your state or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, just kind of depends on where you're at or whatever. So that's what I'm saying. What is that correlation? That's what I'm trying to figure. It's what you're trying to figure out. Okay. Now the best part, okay, is you want to start looking for the hidden market. The hidden market. Okay. I can guarantee you that there's storage facilities that are not on Google listings. I can guarantee. And in fact, I went out, I bought a list of like storage facilities and don't do lists, all right? Because everybody's doing the list and all it does is just piss everybody off because there's not a lot of storage facilities in the world, okay? In the States, all right? So I bought a list and I was looking at the list, and what happened is like I bought this list and like all the storage facilities for Georgia are on this list, right? But then like we started looking like in towns and like it would have like maybe two storage facilities in that town, but guess what? We found 5, right? And so for some reason, like the lists are not picking up the hidden market. They're picking up what's on like Google listings and things like this, but not the hidden market. Because what happens is that in order to get like on Google, right? Has anybody ever tried to put a business like on Google My Business or Google listings? It's a pain in the ass. All right. Like you have to like go on and like start online, first of all, and everybody, half of the people, not even half, most of the people in the tertiary markets are like 80 years old that own these things, right? Like they're not going to go online if they have one facility with like 50 or 100 units and like sit there and like, you know, try to figure out Google My Business. They're just not going to do this. Okay. So most of them don't even have websites or anything like this. Okay. Now when we buy our facilities, we're not going to do that. We're going to run our business like a business. Right. But essentially most of them don't. So they don't get on Google listings. So that's what I call the hidden market. And so you're going to be looking on Google listings and listing all those out so you can figure out the correlation on your spreadsheet. But your goal is to find the hidden market. All right. And then once you find the hidden market, number 8 is you've got to draw this, and nobody teaches this. All right. I teach this. Drive for storage. You've got to go down there and look for storage facilities that are not on the market. Okay. And that is how you find the best storage facilities. Now you can go to Crexy and LoopNet and go online, MLS and all this, but I'm going to tell you the ones that you get the most bang for your buck are driving for storage. Okay. And the reason why is because you want to be the first person to get to the owner before a realtor gets to the owner. All right. Because a realtor is going to run their numbers on a 5 to 7% cap rate. When you get like an 8% cap rate, like on Crexy, like everybody's just like, I'm on it, you know, like I want that one. And they're so happy about it. But I'm telling you, every facility I bought is exactly the way that I just told you. And I'm buying double-digit cap rates in the tertiary markets, okay? You want to buy as high as you can in the cap rate and sell it as low as you can in the cap rate, okay? All right. And yeah, so like, and I just said the population is like the 5,000 to the 20,000. When you're getting to like 25,000, that's a big town. It kind of gets expensive. You'll know, that's what I'm saying. And that's another thing is like when you start filling everything out, you know, try to figure out what the price is, you know, like you'll start seeing that, like, because we looked at a city today that had like 10,000 people in it. And guess what? It's not a big box company, but it was like a big box company that was like a one-off. It's like a huge big building. And that city only had 10,000 people in it. And I think it had like 2 other storage facilities and that's it. So essentially what he did was very smart. He went in and he was like, look, there's not enough storage facilities in this area. I'm going to build me a storage facility. Right. So you can build it. If you see that there's not enough, you can build a storage facility. And then if you see that there's like enough, you just go and you just try to you buy the ones that are already there. Okay. All right. And I don't know anything about shipping containers to build storage facilities. If you want to do that, I would just go into like a Facebook group and just like, you know, just search like storage Facebook groups, join, and then post that out and see. Maybe some people have done that. It's not like a huge big thing, but some people have done that. Okay. I don't do that. I buy mismanaged facilities or cash flowing properties. Okay. Finding them. I can't see y'all. All right. So hopefully I'm getting a thumbs up right now. Okay. Now funding them. Right. So you know now the 4 of the 5 different ways to get to invest in real estate. We already know this. Wholesaling, mismanaged facilities, cash flowing properties, new construction. And the final one is developing. Develop or conversions, which is kind of like conversions, right? And you're seeing these now because there's so many like retail spaces that are empty that people are coming in and being like, oh, I'll just buy this retail space and then just make it into a storage facility. And you see these even in the smallest cities. You'll see them. You'll see this happen all the time. All right. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. And actually it's cheaper. I would think it's cheaper and faster to do it that way than to do like new construction, right? Because you already have that building. You're just going to have to get it rezoned and get it and then just get it, you know, built out. Okay. So now that you know the 5 ways, okay. So now how much money do you need for each of those? We talked a little bit about this, right? Wholesaling. You're wholesaling it. So, I mean, honestly, if you do exactly what I just said and define the storage facilities that way, then your marketing budget is literally 0. All it is your time. So all it is your time. Okay. So this one to fund them, it's not going to cost any money because essentially it's a wholesale deal. Now, in some cases, you may need to get transactional funding if you have to close on it for some reason, like do a double close. You could do transactional funding, and that costs like 1 or 2% or something like this. Okay, but most of the time, like it's just to fund them is $0. Okay. Mismanaged facilities. We talked about this now. This is private money and a hard money lending, right? So you're going to have to borrow money from other people or borrow from a hard money lender to fund the loan. And it's at a higher interest rate, right? Usually it's a very high interest rate. So you have to make sure when you buy that property, there's enough spread to compensate for that interest rate, okay? So that's the mismanaged facilities funding. And you need to go out and I mean, actually my coach, like 10 years ago, almost, I would say at least 9 or 10 years ago, I was running around like a crazy person, doing all these rehabs and like trying to be this real estate investor or whatever. And I just told my coach, I was like, I feel like I'm running around like a crazy person. Like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And, and he was like, and basically he said, like, Stacey, he's like, what are you? Are you like, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a rehabber. Like I flip homes and I rehab homes. And he was like, no, you're not a rehabber. And I was like, what? Yes, I am. He's like, no. I was like, he's like, what are you? And I was like, am I a residential redeveloper? Like what? I don't know. Am I a wholesaler? What am I? I'm a real estate investor. He's like, no, you're not. You're a fundraiser. The only way you're ever going to survive in this industry, and this is my tip for you, is if you learn how to raise money. The best investors are the most resourceful investors. When I say resourceful, I mean that you can pull 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100, couple $100,000 out of your ass at any given time. So your goal as a real estate investor or a self-storage investor is to become the most resourceful investor you can be, right? Because if you can become resourceful and you become a fundraiser and learn how to raise money, then the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit. I was on a coaching call yesterday with a student, and she's never done a deal at all, never done a deal. And she's in the process of working with an investor they're raising like from 10 to 15 million dollars together. And she's never done a deal before. All she did was she learned how to fundraise, and she learned how to be resourceful and work with other investors to bring that money in. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. If you can do that, if you learn how to fundraise, the sky is the limit in the real estate investing world. Okay. All right. So next thing, cash flowing properties. All right. So we talked about this. All right. This is the 80-20 rule, right? Most of the time you got to put 20% down and you get funded the 80%. Highly recommend that you start out with a bank that's near where you're going to do this, right? So let's just say you find a storage facility out in in Jonesville, right? So you would want to be like going to the bank kind of in that area, local banks, regional banks in that area to get the funds for the loans. They love storage facilities, all right? They love it. All right. So don't go to a Wells Fargo or a Bank of America because anyways, they're not lending any money anyways right now. You want to go to a local bank and they'll eat out of your palm because they are desperate for loans right now. Okay. And then also you can do SBA loans. So local or regional banks or SBA loans. Okay. And SBA loves storage facilities. All right. So you can always do and they do a little bit less, like 15% down. So you can do it that way. It's just that it takes forever. It could take up to 90 days to close on an SBA loan. Okay. It just takes forever. Right. Whereas a bank, you could probably close in like 30, 45 days, just so you know. Okay. What else? Okay. Finally, new construction. You just go to like a local or a regional bank to get a new construction loan or SBA. So these as well too. This is like a local bank or SBA for these, okay? And it's the 80-20 rule as well too, All right, for both of those, it's the 80-20 rule. You want to go to a bank that will do a new construction loan. All right, so that, and there's sometimes banks don't do that, so you have to kind of work. And honestly, I tell my students, if you have a good deal and you have a good deal, and you go to the lender and they're like, no, I don't want to do this deal, that's the wrong lender. It's not the deal. Now, if it's not a good deal, the lender will be like, no, this deal sucks. But a lot of times there's lenders out there just like, no, I'm not going to do this kind of deal. Right. So I always tell my students, like I had one student, he talked to like 4 or 5 different lenders. They were all like, no, no, no. And he finally talked to one and he was like, hey, he's like, yeah, I'll do this deal. I'll close it easy. So it's like, you need to make sure that you're talking to a lot of lenders and, and get their, and get their opinion on the deal, but like take heed because, you could have a great deal, but it's just the wrong lender. Okay. And then finally, the develop and conversions. I mean, developing and doing conversions is actually quite expensive. All right. So this is like, if you have a lot of money, then go for it. Right. So like my student, she's like, I just want to do developing and conversions. That's all I want to do. And she's like, and I said, okay, well, you got to focus on the big bucks then. All right. She's like, all right, I'm going to focus on the big bucks. And so she's doing, and there's like private equity investors, right? Private equity. Or syndication, okay, for this kind of stuff, right? So like I have a really good friend in the industry that he does developing, and what he does is he'll go, and actually when you do developing, and if you can like find really good deals, like even down in like downtown areas, now not in super big cities, but like, like I have a friend that he found like a warehouse kind of like I think it was somewhere in Kentucky. He found like one of those, in like every one of those like towns where they have like those red brick like warehouses where like all the windows are like, like smashed out and there's like graffiti all over them. Those like old buildings. Like, so he took one of those and he made it into a storage facility, right? And that's what he does is he converts those into storage facilities. It's like a 3-level building. And so what he did not syndicate that money. He doesn't do funds, right? He doesn't do funds. What he does is he does private equity. So he pools everybody together, but he gets a whole bunch of different lenders is what he does. Okay. So, and there's like a whole bunch, there's a whole bunch of different ways to do that. But essentially, just so you know, like usually these are going to be more expensive. And you have to learn how to raise money, and you have to learn, how to and raise money legally is what I'm saying, like as in like following the SEC rules and stuff like this. Okay. All right. So that's with conversions because that's funding them. Any questions on funding the 5 ways? All right. Okay. Let's do running them. Okay, running them. It's my 3-step process. All right, my 3-step process. Finding them, funding them, running them. Now, running them is actually the most important part of the whole process. All right, because people don't realize that when you're buying storage facilities, you're actually buying a retail business. Okay, you're not investing in a house. Like it's not passive income in the way like nothing is ever going to get done, right? So you have to be aware that you're going to have to answer the phone, right? So from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, you got to answer the phone. Like I talked to one of my students yesterday on a coaching call, and he was like, somebody called me at like 11:30 last night. I was like, you didn't answer the phone, did you? He was like, no, I went to voicemail, but he wanted to make a payment. Right. So they're like, you have to realize like they are calling at all random times of the night and day and whenever, right? So you have to be able to answer the phone or pay somebody to do that, right? So for 8 o'clock in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, we answer our phones. And then also another thing is that like you need to be able to organize and systematize your business so much so that it's completely electronic, completely virtual, right? Completely automated, completely systematized so that you can be anywhere in the world and run your business, right? So why purchase a storage facility, which I saw here on the chat, everybody wants passive income, right? Why build something that you have to work in every single day? That is not passive income. That is a business that I'm going to buy 5 years down the road. Okay. I talked to a storage facility owner the other day, and I called him up, and he was like, I was like, I'm interested in buying your facility. Would you be interested in selling? And he's like, oh yeah, no. This is like my livelihood. Like, I'm there every single day of the week. Like, this is my life. And I was like, and all the time when people tell me this, and they say this all the time, when they get up in the morning and they work their storage facility. And I'm thinking to myself, like, outside of just like answering the phones and taking in tenants, like, what do you do? I don't know what he does, because I haven't been to any of my facilities in quite a while, actually. And my husband, he'll maybe go like once a month, and check on the facilities. Or we have like our boots on the ground person that kind of manages our facilities. And so you want to run them and automate them so much so that somebody else is doing the work for you. Okay, you got to put that into your budget and run your numbers in that budget so that you can have somebody doing that for you, right? Because what I notice is a lot of storage facility owners, and actually new students either, they're like, oh, I can just run it myself and save like, whatever, $500 a month or something like this. And it's like, for $500 a month, you could be like out looking for a whole nother storage facility, right? Or like doing something else to make some money, right? So anyway, so we're going to write down run them. Running them is the most important part of the equation, right? Number one, you want to make it completely virtual, right? You have project management, like not projects, sorry, property management software that you can just like, people go online now and reserve their stuff. There's no reason to have an office anymore. There's no reason at all. And so we own a lot of storage facilities. We have no office at all. Okay. Completely contactless. We've been that way since the beginning. But, a lot of storage facility owners, when COVID hit, that hurt them really bad, right? They had to really kind of like, change everything, because people had to come in, sign the contract and stuff. Whereas like we were already like that. So for us, like COVID, like nothing happened for us for COVID, right? Virtual, make it virtual. All right. You want to make it electronic, right? So I already talked about that a little bit. Like your business, everything is in the cloud now. Everything that you do is in the cloud. Nothing is saved on your computer. Everything is just saved in the cloud. We have like our storage facility, and then we have like all of our folders with all of our different locations, and everything goes into the cloud, right? And it's because our team is virtual. So like we have people all over, and they need to be able to get in and do all what they need to do, right? All right. So a virtual and electronic, and there's property management softwares that you would use to manage all this. And then Google Drive. Okay. And then you want to automate it, right? And this is all done through the property management system that you use. If you buy the right ones, there's some that work, some that don't do this, but you can automate all your email sequences, text blasts. When the auction process starts, that's all automated and completed, right? So everything literally is automated. They even have like storageauctions.com is where you can do your auction right online now, right? So everything is online for you. So automatic and systematized, right? And you want to have everything. So when you start setting your business up, buying it to run it and managing it, you really have to think about how can you make this completely virtual so that you can build passive income. I get everybody wants passive income. If you don't do this, it will not be passive income. Believe me, you will get sucked in, and then it will just like take up all your time. All right. But you don't want passive income. All right. What you want is passive wealth, right? Your goal is passive wealth. And the way that you make it passive wealth is by literally thinking outside the box, right? Literally, you've got to say, okay, not only am I going to find them and add value to them, right? And buying cheap ones that maybe you need to increase the rents, and there's like maybe some land that you can add on to, right? So value add those. On top of that, you're going to automate it and systematize it so you don't even have to be there to run it. So you're not creating passive income, you're creating passive wealth. Your ultimate goal is to build, is to obtain passive income, but to create passive wealth. Okay. And then also what you need to be doing is training your tenants. I call it train your tenants. Train your tenants. All right. So that means that you got to put your foot down, right? What that means is that, you know, on the 1st, the rent is due. On the 5th, it's considered late, or whatever, you know, days you want to do. On the 1st, it's due. On the 5th, you get your late fee. On the 10th, there's an overlock fee. And on the 25th of the month, you start your auction process, right? And you train your tenants to know that if they don't pay their rent on the 1st, by the end of the month, they're paying like a $50 to $60 late charge for all of the different steps that they have, including the rent that they owe. I'm sorry, as well as the rent that they owe. Okay. So if they pay like $50 a month or $60 or $100 a month, and then by the end of the month, they have like a $60 late fee for not paying. All right. The only way that you're ever going to get your tenants to pay is if you have late fees and you stick to them. Okay. So that's why I say train your tenants so that they know that your rules are your rules. Okay. Otherwise, they will take advantage of you, and then you will become the type of facility that I buy. You do not want to become the type of facility that I buy, which is a mismanaged facility. Okay. Capiche? Right? Capiche in the chat if you're understanding what I'm saying. Otherwise, is everybody just sleeping? Am I putting everybody to sleep? That's the one thing I want to know. Who's sleeping and who's capiching? All right. Yeah. How do you spell capiche? That's a good question too. I have no idea. Everybody's spelling it completely different. So obviously we have no idea how to spell capiche. Okay, cool. All right. Awesome. Capiche, capiche. All right. So we're running our facility like a facility, right? Like a business. 85% of all small businesses fail within the first couple of years. Don't become that kind of a business. Run it so, number 3, you don't take any cash, you don't take any checks, you're virtual and electronic, right? You're not pocketing that money, because if you get cash, guess what? That money, believe me, like in the beginning, we took cash and I'll be like, oh, that's good. I guess $50 now. All right, so no cash, no checks, only electronic. Just get the tenants in that will actually follow your rules. And believe me, your life will be so much easier, right? And so you want to make sure that you are putting your income into QuickBooks so that you can have a P&L, a balance sheet, and tax returns with a profit for 2 to 3 years at least. If you can get this, then you can sell your property for top dollar. Okay, that is your goal. Now, whether or not you do that or not, run it like you do, because you never know when you're going to need to sell that property, or if you want to, whatever, you know. Like right now, we're like thinking about selling properties. Like everybody wants to pay so much money for storage facilities. I'm like, maybe we'll just sell one of our storage facilities, make some money, and then get a bigger one or something. But anyway, so that's like I think the 3 most important things about running your facilities. Okay. All right. Any questions on that? So now you have finding them, you have funding them, and you have running them. All right. Now the next step is getting up off your ass and actually going to look for some storage facilities. Who is going to go look for storage facilities? Who's like, yes, I'm in. I'm totally going to do this. I'm in. I love storage facilities. Who is a storage facility nerd? All right. I'm a storage facility nerd. My coaching program is called storagenerds.com, or you can go to storagenerds.com, okay, to get information on it. All right. So that is, that's it. If you have any questions, post them in here now, so I can ask them. But that's really it. All right. What do you think? Who has questions? Anybody? Anything? Final moments. How many people per unit for feasibility study? What software do you use? Driving for storage, explain. Who will buy if you don't? The DMV is very expensive. Areas, the Dallas, is that Dallas? What's DMV? I asked tons of questions. Can you clarify the best way to look for them? Can you talk about valuations? How to, now I'm going to do another webinar on how to do deal analysis on a storage facility. I think that's like, I don't know if it's like next week or the week after. It's like a couple of weeks. So highly recommend that you're following me so that you can get all of my my updates, or get on my email list. If you've not, if you sign up for the free trainings, then you'll be on my email list and you'll see anything free that I do. Okay. So I will do a webinar on deal analysis, I think in the next couple of weeks or so. All right. So we're not doing deal analysis right now. Essentially, we're focusing on my 3-step process. All right. So I'm not going to get into any of that. What else? Yeah, the Washington, DC market area, that is like that's like a very expensive area. So you're going to have to go out. I have a couple of students in that area, and actually one of my students got one under contract, and I think it was like in Pennsylvania or something like this. All right. So you're going to have to go out for that. Okay. And then what else? Okay, so what other questions? I'm not going to get into like inspection. There's nothing, we don't look for anything for, I mean, inspections for storage facilities. I mean, you just look at them. I mean, essentially look at the roof. I mean, there's not a lot to look at for inspections, honestly. College towns are, I mean, I say a population 5,000 to 20,000. Okay, stick in that for now and try those and see what you can find that's going to fit into your cost. Okay. All right. Angela's going to go vote. Awesome. Go vote. I saw a couple of storage facilities where like they're made of like kind of brick, you know, and there was like cracks in the foundation, like brick, you know, so you want to check that kind of stuff too, you know, but most of the time, I mean, you're going to, if you go to a storage facility and see one, you're going to tell whether or not it's nice, you know. Let's see what else. If you wholesale, the buyers are going to be people like me that want to buy storage facilities. Feasibility study, you need to essentially you need to get a feasibility study in order to, feasibility studies are quite expensive. They're going to cost like $5 to $10 grand to get a feasibility study, okay, for a new construction. Highly recommend if you want a feasibility study, just like, go into like the Facebook group and say, hey, I need a feasibility study. Who do you recommend? Okay. I do look at facilities in Florida. I have looked at facility in Florida, but I'm sticking into Georgia. I want to be the queen of storage facilities in Georgia. Okay, that's what I want to be. Okay, who else? How about shut down movie theaters? I don't know. Those are kind of big. That's like way too big, isn't it? I mean, just look at the square footage, so it's really like typically like 100 units is like maybe 15,000 square feet or something like this, maybe 15 to 20,000 square feet. So like when you look at like buildings, you need to what's the square footage? Remember, we're storage nerds now. So we're talking square footage. You don't need, movie theaters are usually huge. Like you don't need like huge, big square footage, right? You need like, you need maybe like, now if you get like 50,000 square feet, I mean, that's like a couple hundred storage facilities, storage units, that's a lot. That's a big one. All right. How do you improve a storage facility upon buying it? You got to raise the rents. You raise the rents if you can. That's a good question. Raise the rents if you can. And, value add, like adding more of units. All right. And then like if it's not, maybe like if it's like not paved, like because we have one facility where it's like we're going to pave it. It's like a gravel, but it's kind of like old gravel and stuff. So we're just going to pave the thing, make it look nice. And that's going to, I mean, it's going to cost us quite a bit of money to do that, but it's going to add a lot of money value. Paved facilities are more expensive than like gravel facilities. Okay. Divide the total amount of square footage of the town. That's why you have to find the hidden markets. Right. So people are sitting there and they're going on Google listings and calculating all the total square footage of all the facilities, but they're not finding the hidden markets. Once you find the hidden storage facilities, total all the square footage of the storage facility and divide that into the population, and it should be between 6 and 8. Okay. That's a good round number for you. Okay. And you do with storage facilities, Frank, you do cost segregation. Cost segregation is the best way to maximize your taxes in the storage facility world. Okay. There's a lot of storage facilities in a 20,000 population city. There's a lot. I mean, actually, I live in like a town of like 5,000, and there's like 20 facilities here. Now, you know, and they're all full. It's like the weirdest thing. So there's like, that's why I said you gotta play around with the population. I'm saying population, square footage, huge to understand and correlate in the self-storage world. Okay. And it all depends on where you're from. So in Georgia, it's different than, you know, in anywhere, California or New York or, you know, Texas, it's all different. So you really need to learn your area. It's not about the maximum number of units to look for. It's about how much money do you have? And if you don't have any money, what do you think you can raise? All right. That's what you should be thinking about when looking for storage facilities. Now, what happens when you get out and start looking for storage facilities, you're going to, if you don't think that you can raise enough money or get a loan for this one, well, all you need to do is wholesale that. Okay? Wholesale it. All right. So don't put something away. Now, like, and I focus on $1 million or less storage facilities. Now, when you get above $1 million to wholesale something, it gets a little harder to wholesale that. Okay. Just so you know. So like, you know, that's why I said focus on secondary, tertiary markets, and like $1 million or less, you can easily wholesale those storage facilities. We are painting one of our storage facilities right now, and we are painting all of our storage facilities. So yes, we do paint storage facilities, but it's not something that we did like in the very beginning. And we've had these facilities for a while. The one that we're painting now, we bought it in January, but the next one we're going to paint, we bought that one like 3-4 years ago. So this is not like this is not something that you have to do right away, but it's like, yeah, I want to improve it, you know, like you improve it, right? It is not difficult to get an SBA loan. If you have enough money to put down and a credit, you have to have like a good credit score. Like I think it's around like 620 or 640 or something like this. If you have a good, like a, you know, a halfway decent credit score and you have money to put down, pretty easy to get and it's a good deal, pretty easy to get a loan from SBA. Okay. Yes, exactly. You got it. Depreciate them and then do cost segregation. You got it. Y'all are getting it. I love it. The 6 to 8 number was total square footage of your town or area divided by population of that area. Should be between 6 and 8. What is the equation with population square footage? You got it. Total square footage of the town divided by the population. But honestly, I mean, I know everybody wants to know this formula. I get that. But like I said, I live in a town of 5,000 and there's 20 storage facilities and they are all full. So that does not work with us. Okay? It doesn't work. A lot of times, I'm going to say most of the time, especially in the tertiary markets, this doesn't work. Okay. Now I did look at a facility, like there was like a town of like, I think 1,200. There's one facility, 50 units. Then we took a look at it and I was just like, the town was really run down. It was really run down. And I would have bought the facility because I actually bought a facility, 50 units or like 54 units or 59 or 60. I can't remember what it was, but essentially there's only like 250 people and it's 80% full. Okay. So I'm telling you this, if you learn how to, actually, I didn't put this down. I forgot to put number 4. Number 4 is marketing. That's number 4. You have to learn how to market to get tenants. All right. So this means that you have to learn SEO, Facebook ads, Google AdWords. You got to learn how to market to get tenants, because the way that people find storage facilities, they go on just Google, like where's like store, or they're driving by. So you have a big sign in the wall. So if you're like a little tiny town, right? Like, you have a big sign with the phone number and you're good. Right. I looked at a town that was like maybe 3,000-4,000 people. I mean, he doesn't do any marketing except for he just like, has a big sign. All right. And he's 100% full. Right. But like, when you start getting like, 10,000 people, 20,000, like you need to learn how to market your facilities. Okay. What else? Do you focus on the price per square foot? Yes. Yes, price per square foot is what we look for. The average price per square foot for the rents, okay, is what we're focusing for. So if you decide to join my coaching program, you will get my deal analyzer. All right, you'll be able to be like, boop, 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 what the, and then you just put the stuff in and then just like spits out like if it's a good deal or not, right? But essentially, yes, price per square foot is what you have to be looking for, okay? What is the most amount banks want to stay under for a loan? No, banks want the bigger the better. The bigger the better. All right. They like, they'll do a small loan, but they make more money on bigger deals. Right. I talked to a hard money, like we had like we have our coaching calls, and every coaching call for the group, we have a lender coming on because everybody's always worried about the money. And actually the money is the easiest part, honestly. Finding them is hard, and then like running them is hard, right? The money is the easiest part because everybody wants to lend on storage facilities. If you have a good deal, it's good, right? Now, unless you're, you try to find private lenders for mismanaged facilities, and you have to go out and find those, and that's kind of hard. But anyways, like I brought one hard money lender on last Tuesday, and he was like, no, like he's like, we'll go up to $30 million. And they'll start at 100,000 and go to $30 million, right? So I mean, like now lenders, they love storage facilities. When do you get a property management company? Like at the point where you don't want to be doing it anymore. So for us, it was like almost immediately because we don't want to be doing it. Like I set my business up so that it could be this is passive income, right? So we got our property management, or like we got our office manager and property managers like pretty quickly, okay? Now the property manager, like for one company, like a boots on the ground person, I mean, he goes like for one place, it only costs like a couple $100 a month. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You just take that couple $100, take that time away from you and just pay somebody else to do that. Usually it's like a lawn, like your lawn guy that's mowing your lawn. He'll come over and he'll do overlocks and clean up the trash and all this kind of stuff is what he'll do. And he'll just pay him like a couple $100 a month. It's not a big deal. If you're talking to lenders that say 500 to $1 million is too much, if that's a private lender, then that's probably normal, right? If that's a private lender. But if it's a hard money lender, it's like not the right lender. All right. Is there a specific percent like residential or industry standard? No idea what you're saying, Frank. So, okay, cool. What else? Okay, I think that's good. Okay, so I answered a lot of questions. I gave y'all my 3-step process. I'm here for you guys. Sign up for the free trainings. And then if you're interested in the coaching, then just go to storagenerds.com. Okay, and come and talk to me, and we'll figure out if it's a good fit for you. Okay. All right, cool. I think we're done. All right, thank you for showing. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. Okay. All right, take care. I'll see you at the next one.